Hello and welcome to this presentation for MA Game Art. My name's Barry Lowndes, I'm the course leader for the MA, and I'm going to be talking to you about the course and what you can expect to be doing if you decide to come and do the course with us here at Sheffield Hallam. So the Masters here at Hallam is really focused on the art production side of games. So we won't really be talking too much about things like gameplay and game mechanics, user interface, that kind of thing. We are specifically looking at the creation of the worlds and the characters and the things within those worlds. So everything that's visual about a game. So that would encompass things like 3D modeling of props, of environments, of characters. We'll be talking about things like correct optimization of those for a game environment, shader generation and creation, lighting and rendering of all of those assets, correct texture and material workflows, and ultimately setting all of those things up within a game engine. We will also look at the 2D side of game art as well. So that could be actually the creation of two-dimensional games, but it would also look at the process of ideation and visual design and creating pieces of concept art that would possibly be passed on to a 3D artist to create these environments and characters and so on. So the MA is made up of 3 trimesters: before Christmas, after Christmas, and then over summer. Each one of those trimesters will be worth 60 credits towards your final degree, which adds up to a total of 180 credits. So a single module is worth 15 credits, but almost all of your modules will be 30 credit double modules, and actually one of them will even be a 60 credit quadruple sized module. So this is the module structure for the MA. In trimester 1 you'll be doing game asset development and creative media professional practice project. In trimester 2 you'll do a research and development proposal, game design practice, and then finally in trimester 3 you have this huge final piece of work, your creative media masters project. So I'll just go through each one of those in a little bit of detail to give you some idea of what you'll be doing. So first up is game asset development. So on this course we would assume that you have some knowledge and some experience of creating game art. It may be that you have an artistic background in another area and you're looking to transfer those skills into a more real-time environment. So it may be that you've done something like a fine art degree or something like that. But certainly we would expect that you have some background in the kind of artistic fields. With that said, game asset development is partly there to get everyone up to speed with the development process. So what you'll do in this module is you will design a prop, and you'll design that prop primarily with in 2D mediums. So you'll end up with a piece of concept art that you can work from. You'll then go on and create that 3D final model of your concept. So this module is quite taught and quite structured, and we will be showing you how to use various techniques and pieces of software to create this. Again, if you've done very little of this before, the learning curve is going to be very steep in this module, but technically we do start from the very kind of beginning. So some of the video that you're seeing now will give you some kind of idea of the kind of things that people would create within this module. So the next module will be Creative Media Professional Practice Project. So within the degree, we suggest that you specialise in one or two areas. Not everyone is going to be a fantastic environment artist and fantastic character artist and 2D concept artist. Realistically, those areas tend to be broken up within the games industry, and you would specialise in one of those. So maybe that you decide that environment art is what really interests you, and in this module you would do something in that field. So you choose to make an environment. This module is more self-directed by yourself, and you'll be supervised by a specialist tutor in that area to get help and feedback, and to kind of lead your journey along to creating this final piece of work. So that's trimester 1. In trimester 2, you will do a research proposal that leads into trimester 3. For this module, there might be an area or a specific style of art that really interests you, and this is your chance to research that and develop those skills. For example, you might be very interested in the character design in Overwatch. If that was the case, then you would want to look at how they conceptualize the characters that they create in that, how they create a backstory for them, and how that and maybe the mechanics of the gameplay for each character, how that would influence the visual design. You would then want to look at the technical workflow for creating those kind of characters. So what is it that gives that a unique art style? What software do they use to create that, and what workflows and techniques within those pieces of software are used? So this research proposal will eventually comprise of a fairly hefty report looking into this, but it's a very hands-on and quite technical report. So you really are experimenting within maybe game engines and within pieces of software and providing the results of those experiments. All of that is going to lead to a proposal for what you do in trimester 3. So I'll get to that in a second, but let's just look at game design practice first. So games design practice is a group project. As well as having a master's at Hallam in game arts, we also have a master's that is more focused on the programming side of games. So in this module, you'll get a chance to work with those programmers to make a game, or I should say a game prototype. Could be a very simple game, or it could be a prototype of a more advanced game. So this module is all about simulating a real work environment, and how you can expect to work within teams when you get into the industry. So you'll be using things like version control to make sure that you're able to work collaboratively, and you'll be encouraged to break down the jobs and think about the pipeline to getting to production. So if you have a game that you're going to make, what are the individual components that need making for that game to come to fruition? So it's about project management, as well as obviously the meat of it is going to be actually creating these things. So again, you would focus on your specialist area most likely in this module. Okay, so that's trimester 2. And then trimester 3 is your final big master's project. So as I said, in trimester 2, you'll have done this research and development proposal. The thing that you researched here, that's what you're now going to build in this module. So you've got the whole of trimester 3 of the summer term to just work on this one huge major piece of work that really demonstrates everything that you've done up to this point and is the fruition of all of your skills. Again, this will be supervised by a specialist tutor in the area that you're interested in. So if you're interested in environment art, you will have somebody that specialises in creating environments to help you along the way. So just briefly, you may be considering doing the degree, the master's part-time. If you are looking at part-time, then the module structure breaks down like this. So in year one you'll do most of the kind of more taught modules, and then in year 2 you'll do the more self-directed and supervised projects. So trimester 1, we've got game asset development, and then you'll do the group project. In trimester 3, there's actually no teaching because this module is a 60 credit module at the end. There's no actual formal teaching within this trimester, but what we will do is provide you the brief for the project that you're going to do in trimester 1 of year 2, and you can get started on that over the summer so that you're quite advanced along with this by the time you get to handing it in. So yeah, obviously trimester 1 you'll do that creative professional practice project, so the supervised project, then you'll do your research proposal, and then finally in trimester 3 you will have your final project to work on. So throughout the masters you'll be working primarily in labs, so PC labs with kind of industry standard equipment in them. We also have a mocap studio that you may wish to use if that's something that you're interested in trying out. We also have a room specifically for doing VR projects as well. In terms of the software that we use, we have most of the pieces of software that you would imagine to be available to you. Our workflow within Hallam, our typical workflow for 3D production would be 3ds Max for modelling, then Substance Suite, so Substance Painter, Substance Designer, and those kind of pieces of software, maybe Alchemist as well for the texturing, and then ZBrush if there's any sculpting to do, and then finally into Unreal 4. Now on the masters we are not too fussed what software people use, so it may be that you've been using Maya for years and years and years. That's absolutely fine. Outside of that we have things like the Quixel suite, we have pieces of software like World Machine for building 3D terrains, Marvelous Designer for doing cloth. Obviously the Adobe suite is one that we tend to use quite a lot, so Photoshop you'll certainly be using quite a bit, and lots of other sort of more peripheral pieces of software that can be useful every now and again. In terms of equipment, our PCs are sort of industry standard, fairly high spec gaming machines with dual screens. Then we have lots of things like lots of VR equipment, Oculus Rifts. We've got big PlayStation teaching facilities as well. So if you're interested in developing on PlayStation, then certainly we're a good university to come to get your hands on PlayStation dev kits and PSVR equipment and that kind of thing. So these are a few of the places that our students have gone on to work for. There's many, many more outside of this as well. Perhaps some of the key ones in here are somewhere like Sumo Digital. So Sumo Digital are a Sheffield-based company, although they are really quite a global company now. But lots and lots of our students go on and work with Sumo, and we have very good connections with them, so they come in and help us with projects and talk to our students and look at portfolios and all those kind of things. So as I said previously in this presentation, it would probably be advisable to have some knowledge of game asset workflows before starting the course, as there's an awful lot to learn from scratch in terms of starting from the beginning over 1 year. So these images are just some images we've pulled off the internet that maybe give you some idea of where we would expect people to be as a starting level. So yeah, just, if you're comfortable with modeling fairly basic things, you're comfortable with doing some concept art in Photoshop and that kind of thing, then you should be absolutely fine on the course. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. I hope it's been useful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me, and that's my email address on the screen there. Thank you very much.